The sovereignty of the summit. Why the worthy must seek the scepter. The pursuit of power is frequently whispered about as if it were a sin, or a stain on the soul of the good man. We are taught that humility is found in the shadows, and that virtue is best practiced in silence. But this is a strategic deception. True wisdom recognizes that power is not a moral toxin. It is a neutral amplifier. It makes the loud louder, the cruel crueler, and the wise more impactful. If you possess the oil of wisdom or the fruit of character, remaining at the feet is not an act of humility, it is an act of negligence. 1. The parable of the vacuum. When excellence abdicates. The ancient parable of the trees, Judges 9, serves as a timeless psychological warning about the nature of hierarchy. When the trees sought a king, they did not go to the weak. They went to the competent. The olive tree was to focus on its fatness, its internal value. The fig tree was to focus on its sweetness, its personal comfort. The vine was to focus on its wine, its own joy. They all made the same fatal error. They assumed that because they were productive, they were safe. They believed that their personal excellence exempted them from the dirty work of governance. Because the productive refused to lead, the bramble, the thorn bush, was given the crown. The bramble had no fruit, no shade, and no value. It only had the will to power. It immediately threatened to burn down the cedars of Lebanon. The lesson: power is a vacuum. It will be filled. If it is not filled by the olive, the fig, or the vine, it will be occupied by the bramble. When the wise retreat into their private lives, they grant the ruthless permission to rule them. You do not seek power to satisfy your ego. You seek it to prevent the brambles of the world from setting fire to the forest. 2. The physics of influence. The head versus the feet. There is a mechanical reality to human structures that makes influence from the bottom nearly impossible without extreme, often destructive, friction. 1. The gravity of command. Influence from the feet is an uphill battle. To move a system from below, you must push against the collective weight of the status quo, the bureaucracy above you, and the ego of those in charge. It requires a monumental output of energy just to achieve a minor shift. Conversely, influence from the head utilizes the gravity of the system. A single decree from the top flows downward with accelerating force. When you are at the head, your ideas don't fight the system. They become the system. 2. The psychology of the halo effect. Human psychology is governed by authority bias. We are evolutionarily wired to look upward for cues on how to act, think, and value. When a person at the feet speaks truth, it is often dismissed as complaining or insubordination. When a person at the head speaks the same truth, it is hailed as visionary and strategic. By seeking the position of power, you are not changing your message. You are changing the acoustics of the room. You are ensuring that your wisdom is heard without the distorting filter of perceived insignificance. 3. The horizon of the high ground. The feet can only see the obstacles immediately in front of them. Their perspective is limited to the soil and the struggle. The head sees the horizon. From a position of power, you gain the panoramic view necessary to anticipate storms before they arrive. Seeking power is about gaining the high ground, not to look down on others, but to see further for them. 3. The deep psychology. Power as agency. At its core, the fear of power is the fear of responsibility. To remain at the feet is to remain a victim of circumstance. If the head makes a mistake, the feet can complain, but they are not held responsible for the direction of the body. However, a life without power is a life without agency. To be powerless is to be a spectator in your own life and a casualty in the lives of those you love. Power is the ability to protect. You cannot shield the vulnerable from the rain if you don't own the roof. Power is the ability to provide. Character without resources is just a well-meaning sentiment. Character with power is a legacy. Power is the ability to create. Most of the world's problems are systemic. You cannot fix a broken system by working harder within it. You fix it by gaining the authority to redesign it. For the moral mandate, the burden of the worthy. If you have a wealth mindset, a sovereign mind, or a messenger's heart, then staying low is a form of spiritual hoarding. You are keeping your light under a bushel because you are afraid of the heat of the fire. We need olives and vines in the seats of power. We need people who understand that power is a tool for service, not a trophy for the mantle. The conclusion: do not apologize for your ambition. Do not shrink so that others feel comfortable. The brambles are already reaching for the crown. They do not hesitate. They do not feel unworthy, and they do not lack for confidence. If you want to change the world, you must stop trying to tickle the feet and start aiming for the head. It is better to be the one who directs the path than the one who is forced to walk it. Ascend the hierarchy, take the seat, and rule with the wisdom that the bramble will never possess.